This is a really inspiring story we have today.
I can't wait. So today's guest is Jason Mendelson and is known as a Superman HPV. So a stage 4 HPV related not tonsil cancer survivor turned national advocate. I cannot wait to dive into this story. We were just talking kind of before. We almost didn't get the podcast started because we could just go on and on and on. But I want you to share your journey with us. How are we going to bring up awareness about HPV? And tell us all the things. How to start? How do you know? I know you didn't have any signs or symptoms. So what happened?
Well, how about this? And thank you for having me on. And please stop me if I go too long in sharing what took place 11 years ago. So I am known as Superman HPV within the head and neck cancer world. It's not because I'm an arrogant jerk who actually thinks he's Superman. My friends called me Superman during chemo and radiation. So I decided to adopt the name, go public to draw attention to a diagnosis I had never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Short story, when I was 44, I was taking a financial exam for my family business, and I put my hand on my face and then my neck to ponder a question and felt a bump. I was like, I don't have time to think about dying right now. I'm not kidding. I said that to myself at the time. I remember it was like it was yesterday. Passed the test, went and saw my dad, who's a doctor, and I said, "Can you tell me what this is?" And he said, touched it and he goes, "Let's call the ear, nose, and throat doctor." I'm like, "Okay, great." So we did that, and my doctor said, and so my dad's a doctor, by the way, 50 years as a dermatologist in the Orlando area. And so we know people. And so the doctor said, "You don't smoke, you don't drink heavily. Come see me in a few weeks." It was a Thursday.
Oh,
I'm like, "Great, I'll be there on Monday." Because I'm a guy that goes to the doctor. It's probably like
right.
an important thing to always remember. Go to the doctor, don't be too manly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to the doctor. They looked at my, throat. They touched my, and they're like, "Listen, likely nothing. I'm gonna give you 10 days of antibiotics and steroids, and the slight chance that doesn't go away, we'll immediately schedule you for a needle biopsy and CAT scan." So I started the antibiotics, went to the Florida Keys that Wednesday, partied with my friends on Sunday, flew to DC from the Keys, where I lobbied on Capitol Hill,
Mm-hmm.
flew home on Wednesday, Thursday CAT scan, Friday needle biopsy, Monday stage 4 HPV related tonsil cancer.
Wow.
Let me explain to you. Most people, and I'm not minimizing these, but most people are familiar with breast cancer, lung cancer, prostate cancer, whatever the cancer is, pancreatic cancer. HPV related tonsil cancer was something I'd literally never heard of.
Right.
I was like, I don't know what that is. I knew HPV had something to do with cervical cancer,
Mm-hmm.
but I did not know what that was. So at the end of the day, they tell me you're going to need a radical tonsillectomy and neck dissection. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I ended up having one. And so I have a scar that runs from the bottom of my right ear to the center of my throat, 42 lymph nodes removed. I ended up needing 7 weeks of chemo, radiation, and a feeding tube I had in my stomach because I had third-degree burns and open sores in my mouth and throat after radiation. I could really discuss heavily with you, the horror of
Right.
radiation. It's like having a sunburn on top of a sunburn on top of a sunburn on top of a sunburn. It felt like I had shards of glass in my throat.
Wow.
So, that was crazy. A few weeks in, I made videos to my 3 kids saying goodbye. Videos like, "One day you're going to get married. I'm not going to be there. This is what's important," videos. And I made them over and over and over again, knowing that if they were the last things my kids ever heard from me, I wanted them to be perfect. Am I going too long or is this what?
No, this is
No,
great.
this is
Okay. So at the end of the day, when you go through radiation, most people know it from other cancers, but with head and neck, they actually make you a mask that fits your face. And then you lay on your back and they clip your head down to a table. And then you lay there with your tongue thrust to the top of your mouth. So they only radiate the important, like the focused
right.
area of for me, it was the tonsils. And so after 4 or 5 weeks, I couldn't swallow. My saliva was so thick. I would go to sleep at night and I would close my eyes, and within a minute or two, the saliva was so thick it would cover my airway, and I would wake up like someone was choking me. And so, one of the reasons I share my story is to protect and prevent other parents from ever having to make videos to their kids saying goodbye like I did. And so if I fast forward to, HPV, what I'm trying to accomplish, if that's what you want to know, or do you want me to stay where I am?
Yeah, it's like, how do you prevent this?
So is this a family show?
No, we can go
No,
deeper.
keep
Yes,
So
going.
tell
I'll
it.
be a little bit more quick about this. So HPV, when I decided I would go public, one of my wife's friends said, "Why isn't your husband ashamed?" And I'm like, one, I never thought about being ashamed. Cancer
Mm-mm.
is hard enough to deal with. And I'm like, so I started doing my homework, thinking, why would she even ask that? So I
Right.
learned that HPV is the most common sexually transmitted virus on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
3 out of 4 adults by 30 have the virus. Let me repeat that. 3 out of 4 adults by 30, 62% of freshmen in college. And, with current information, in the last 48 months, tongue, throat, and tonsil cancer, which is called oropharyngeal cancer, by the way, um, has surpassed cervical cancer and become an epidemic among men between 40 and 60, although it also impacts women. So they believe that through oral sex with a girl in college at 18 or 19, I was exposed to the virus. Out of 100 people that have been exposed, 99% of the body fights off the virus. They never knew they had it.
Gotcha. Okay.
1% like me, the virus can lay dormant in the crypts of the throat for decades. And to just lay this out there for you, I've been married. I just celebrated my 29th wedding anniversary.
Right.
My wife has never tested positive for HPV ever. So you can be exposed and then decades later. And so if we go full circle here, so I go public, I launch a website called Superman HPV. A woman, a writer for NBC is writing an article about the epidemic among men, calls me on my cell phone and says, I found your website. Can I include it in my article? I'm like, that's why I wrote it. Yes, you can do that. I mean, that's why I launched the website. Yes, you can do that. Because when I got diagnosed, I looked on the web and
Yeah.
all I found was people with their teeth falling out, jaws cracking, no saliva. There was nothing that inspired or encouraged me that I was going to be okay.
Right.
So I decided I would launch a website to give people hope. And at the end of the day, I've said it a million times, but I launched my website to provide inspiration and information for those diagnosed and or researching HPV, the HPV vaccine, and HPV related cancers.
Well, again, this is crazy. Neil gets, obviously, I didn't know what this story was prior to getting on here. I was diagnosed with HPV at the age of 18 years old and had to have a full LEAP surgery at 18. They thought I might have to have a hysterectomy. It was, and when I finally spoke about it and came home for that procedure, I had all these different people, my aunts, different people come out of the woodwork saying, "Oh, I had it too. Oh, I had it too," and no one was talking about it of what it was, how could it affect your health. And then thank goodness I now have daughters and they all got the vaccine and I got it very first, like as soon as I possibly could. But it really affected me in that way, not to the fact that thank goodness there's more testing with pap smears and things like that, but also the fact that I was even getting pap smears at 18 years old and was able to get that LEAP surgery. But I am tied to your HPV story in a different way.
I will, one, I'm glad you're okay. Two, one of my goals um, is to have my cancer story shared in as many languages as possible on all 7 continents to save lives worldwide. My goal is I'm going to, so I spoke last year. There's an international HPV conference, and I
Mhm.
spoke in Edinburgh as part of that conference last year. And I'm flying to Bangkok October 18th, where the conference is this year. I'm the throat cancer survivor who's speaking as part of a panel. My son, actually, who we were talking about earlier, happens to be in
Yeah.
Israel, is actually meeting me there because as part of it's called One Less Worry. It's a campaign that's created by IPVS, which is the International Papillomavirus
Okay.
Society meeting. And by the way, I never thought that would be something I'd be a part of because before 11 years ago, I never used the 3 letters HPV together in a sentence ever. But my son did a little video as a throat cancer survivor's son, like the child of a throat cancer survivor, and his video got over 2 million views. And so he was coming just to hang out with me, and now they're putting him on a panel as
Ah, I love it.
helping. And he also did advocate. He did some lobbying on Capitol Hill for the Prevent HPV Cancers Act. It's another thing we could talk about. But HPV, just to be quick on this again, so throat cancer is tongue, throat, tonsil. We
Mhm.
talked about cervical cancer. There's also vaginal cancer, vulvar cancer, penile cancer, and there's something that I just learned about called RRP, which I'm assuming neither of you ever heard about, because
No.
I had never heard about it until I learned about it at the National HPV conference a few months ago. But it stands for recurrent respiratory papillomatosis. And it is when a woman gives birth and she has HPV, and the HPV gets into the lungs of the child.
Mm.
I met two women, both of which I think they're in their 50s. Guess how many surgeries each one of these women have had since being diagnosed with RRP from when they were kids?
No idea.
Yes. Give me one number.
10.
The answer is 3 to 400.
What?
Yes. And that's the other thing. So I know anti-vaxxers are never going to listen, but if these are just parents that are not educated because no one's told them,
Yeah.
anytime someone tells me they have kids or grandkids 9 and older, because right now people can get the vaccine from 9 to age 45, but the earlier to get, the better, because once you've been exposed to the strains of the virus that cause cancer, the vaccine doesn't protect you.
Right.
So doctors are trying to talk to parents about cancer prevention, not anything about HPV, the most common sexually transmitted virus. It needs to be about you can protect your kids from preventable
Yes.
cancer.
That's what I agree with you. I think it got tied in, and it's not about that. It truly is about cancer prevention.
So without being political, because we won't go that direction, so we don't alienate half your listeners. I will tell you that I am trying to do everything I can to talk about gender neutral vaccination, right? Boys and girls, not just girls. Um, Increasing vaccination rates worldwide. Up until yesterday, I was always told that Australia is going to be the first country to eliminate cervical cancer due to their high increased HPV vaccination rates. And then I read yesterday, it might be Denmark. It's another country. It has like also extremely high rates. So you know how we always talk about making, obviously America great, or keeping it great. I feel like we should be the country with the highest HPV vaccination rates to eliminate preventable cancer. Because if this were breast cancer, everybody but the anti-vaxxers would be giving the vaccine to their daughters and sons, probably.
I truly think that there is a huge lack of education. People don't know what it is, they don't know. And so I think what you're doing is fantastic. And by the way, I'm registered nothing. I am zero political. I am here to educate. I also love speaking on the Hill. And I think that this should be a non-issue of what political side you're on. This is cancer prevention.
What is a parent's, in my opinion, again, this is just me, you don't have to agree. What is a parent's number one job? In my family, that number one job is to protect their kids. And if
Mhm.
you have a vaccine that protects your kids from preventable cancer, again, if no one remembers anything else from this except what I'm telling you, and to happen to me personally, I was in bed 18 hours a day for a month. I had third-degree burns and open sores in my mouth and throat. I literally made videos to my kids saying goodbye. Even today, after the brutal treatment, if you gave me a chocolate brownie and I ate it and I brushed my teeth, flossed my teeth, not in that order, flossed my teeth, brushed my teeth, gargled with mouthwash, I would still spit out chocolate because of the scar tissue in my throat. So the fact that we can protect our families, our kids, our sons and daughters, grandchildren from ever having to deal with that concern.
Mhm.
I haven't shared this on any interview ever, what I'm about to say to you, but one of my concerns, I'm a crier, but I'm not going to cry now, is that one day, because of radiation, most people know it from other diseases, but it's like the gift that keeps on giving. You never know what's going to happen 5, 10, 15, 20. My goal was that, or my hope is that that I can always swallow, that my teeth don't fall out, that my jaw doesn't crack, and that I don't ever make my family, my wife and kids, uncomfortable being around me. And that is honestly, as a guy who loves his wife and kids and family, parents, everybody, siblings more than anything, I don't ever want to be the person that they are uncomfortable to be around. And if parents can protect their kids from ever having to go through any of that, the mental gymnastics and everything, I just think more people, if they were educated and talked to their doctors, would make a decision to protect their families.
Right. And this is what you're going to do. And this is your mission to get it out to the world, not just the United States. And I think
Correct.
that's a powerful thing, Jason. And I think that you just have the work ethic to do this. You are out there speaking about it, and you should be commended for it.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Any way we can help, let us know. But yeah, it's not a story that I tell very often. And
Well,
probably,
then now, Kelly, you're going to help people that are suffering through this through
well,
Kelly's choice, and then tell the story. It's important.
well, yeah, it is important. And I think, again, like once I shared mine, we were talking a long time ago, but once I shared it, it was interesting of how many people kept it quiet. And because like you said, like it came into like a shaming thing where it's like, this is a cancer prevention thing, not a sexual thing. Like this is, so I don't know. We're happy to help you in any way.
Thank you. Cancer is just hard enough to deal with, let alone to have to be ashamed or embarrassed by it because of the stigma. So I'm hoping that I can eliminate the stigma, help increase HPV vaccination rates, have people that might be hiding in the shadows, find light in the darkness and just make the world a healthier place, like what you're
Abs-
doing.
Absolutely, Jason. Best place people can connect with you. Where can they go?
Yeah, I'm Superman HPV on Facebook. Can I give my cell phone number? I give it to everybody,
Go.
407-782-5614, 407-782-5614. And reach out anytime. Jason at Superman HPV is my email.
All right.
Thank you,
Appreciate it, Jason.
Jason.
Thank
I
you.
loved hearing your story, and you're going to inspire so many other people too. So thank you very much for coming on the show today, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks
All
for
right.
including me. I appreciate it.
All right. And go to kellyschoice.org and also purchase the new weight loss era. Appreciate it, Kelly. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jason.